Thank you. And you know what? What is your power?
East way. If you have little girl problems out there, you married, you senior, you got a girlfriend, someone to help you out from here, right? Holidays is fast, holidays coming up all this time.
Okay, here we get a little deeper. You're a young guy. With the civil discourse, we've got Mike, Ruben, and Alana over here, the kids' perspective. But today we're going to be talking about something a little different. Stereotyping, I guess we'll call it, race, tribalism, all these aspects that happen the world over. But we're really talking about the United States, and yeah, this has been going on for hundreds of years. We'll call it, to me, it's propaganda, brainwashing. And to give a little background before we start talking here, the history of the word race used in the present context. The British really started it, using it toward the Irish so they could have a reason to legitimately take their land and govern them. Then it was used against the American Indian to take their land, say they're savages, heathens. And then a little later, and if you do your research, it's hard to find an exact date, but let's say 1680s, somewhere in that area, where they started using the propaganda against the Africans to say that they were less than human. So to me, the term race is designed to segregate and subjugate people based on skin color. That being said, let me ask you a question. Ruben, we'll start with you. Do you think that we're all part of monolithic groups based on ethnicity, skin color, and does that make you subject to groupthink if you were part of a monolithic group? Say Hispanic, right?
Yeah. Well, let me go back a little bit. You know, the word race, with everything you said and the description of how it was coined in the first time, it's quite obscene.
Yes.
It's obscene to be using that word towards the human race. And to answer your question, we all know that nations are defined by interest, groups with interest, language, background, history, etc. Someone put race in there at some point. Maybe it in terms of Asia, Africa, Latin America. Speaking of the Aztecs and the Indians, the American natives. Maybe at some point it made sense, but it's time to take that word out of the common use, because nations now, and for quite a while, are not defined by color of the skin. I mean, we have Mike, you have me, who might look a little white or not, but I'm Latin American. I was born in Panama, and I have a lot of black blood in my veins, actually.
Would that be African?
Ghana.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know.
We've all been brainwashed to call African black. Alana has African ancestry. I'm the only one here on this panel who doesn't have African ancestry.
I don't know. Did you do your ancestry?
I did. No, I know because DNA tests. I've seen his. I've seen hers. But you have a young child now, right? I've seen a picture. Beautiful child. Beautiful little boy.
Absolutely.
How do you feel about calling your child mixed race? I mean, what does that mean? It's your child.
I don't.
Right. So how would you define your
don't,
son?
I won't define him as mixed race because that's not his identity.
There you go.
His identity starts off with his personality. You're not even your name. Some people introduce themselves and they say, "Who are you?" "I'm Mike." Well, there's a Mike down the street. He's Mike too. What makes you different from that Mike? That's your personality and that's who you are. Those are your characteristics. That's who makes you Paul. That's who makes me this original Mike. So I'm not going to tell my child, "Oh, you're a mixed race." Absolutely not.
Right.
I don't need to.
What the hell does that even mean, right?
Right.
I don't like. Is it mixed rice? Because we put a little bit of beans. Like, what are you saying to me? Like, I'm not going to tell my child that. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Mixed rice. Yeah, that's a funny one. I haven't heard that one. So Alana, being someone in middle school now, right? do you think, when you go to middle school, do you guys define yourselves as black and white? Those seem sort of like outdated colors to call your friends, right? How do you guys maneuver through that?
Some people identify as black and white, but some people
Can you
don't.
talk louder? I can't hear you. Honey.
Some people say that they're black and white, and some people don't.
It just varies.
It just depends on how they want to be known as, kind of. So-
Right, and there's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, if you want to be defined as a color,
You
like,
know,
does that make you a stereotype?
no, what we have to do is, honestly to myself, you're allowed to say, they put more emphasis on your sexuality than they do with your actual culture and your ethnicity. Let's be real.
Okay.
I shouldn't have to answer that question on my applications. They tell you, are you two or one race, are you black or you Spanish? You shouldn't have to do that anymore. If you don't have to answer if you're male or female, then it has to start in the applications. Because the applications is how we self-identify to go to school, how we self-identify to get our jobs, how we self-identify to get cars, how we self-identify to get place that we rent. Come on now, we got to start somewhere.
Right.
Start with the application, just like we did with telling people you don't have to, non-binary, we don't have to say anything about who we are. So why do we have to tell people what our culture, our ethnicity is? It makes
Right,
no
'cause
sense.
why does it matter?
Why
Why does
do-
it matter when if you're trying to get a job? Why does it matter what color you are, what ethnicity you are? It shouldn't matter.
So if you were to take a
Absolutely.
spiritualist perspective, we would say that the human spirit, whatever that may or may not be, is what's inside of you. The exterior, whatever happens to be your skin color, eye color, is sort of irrelevant in regards to
Everything.
that spirit inside of you as whatever you want to call it.
It's
human spirit,
irrelevant
we all
to
do.
everything. It's irrelevant to everything. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter because at the end of the day, I could be orange and I could be disrespectful just like that black man down the street that just shot Sean. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't matter anymore. It really doesn't matter. Why? It really has no say towards anything.
Well, let me ask you a question then. Do you, either you or Ruben or Alana, do you guys, I know this is something, maybe it's a psychological phenomenon, sociological, maybe it's sort of coordinated by the media, hundreds of years of propaganda. Do you feel an affinity sometimes to people that look more like you? In other words, I've heard people say, oh, those are my people, things like that. You've heard that, right?
Well, I say it like this. We can go back to, they say 80% of the people in the world believe in religion. And you can go right back to the Old Testament, like-minded, like-spirited. I don't care what you look like. If we got the same like-mind and like-spirit, I'm vibing with you. If we don't, then I don't care what you look like. It just doesn't happen. We clash. That's just what it is. Like-minded, like-spirit. That's how we meet our friends. That's how we go to work and we say, I talk to Sean, Ben, and Steve, but I don't talk to Alex, Andrew, and Tom. Because we're not like-minded, like-spirit.
They're not your people.
Oh, I don't have a people. I don't own anybody. That's slave
I don't
talk.
even have people.
That's slave talk.
I don't have
my
people.
people. That's slave talk. I don't have people.
But
Yeah,
do-
but
yeah.
I think you're referring with people who say, "Oh, my people," or whatever. They're trying to group themselves, tribalism, trying to group themselves within a color of skin or whatever the hell it is. It's stupid. To answer your question, do I consider? I was born in Panama, so Latin American. Do I feel an affinity towards Latin American people or even closer Panamanian people? The same affinity I feel towards somebody I meet who is from Russia or India. It's the same. My affinity comes from wanting to be in touch with other human people. Not by color, not even by nation. I mean, that's another thing. I don't believe in nation. I don't,
Nationality, huh?
No, I mean, I have double nationality right now.
Yeah,
What does that tell you about that?
I know
It's
what you're
bullshit,
saying.
right?
You don't believe in
So I'm Panamanian and I'm an American citizen. That means nothing to me. In terms of patriotism, nothing. When it comes to defend a nation, a people, I'll be there. I don't have to be born there to back them up. That's my feeling.
Put it like this.
Alana, I want to ask you a question. So, it being, obviously, again, you're in middle school, how do you feel about the term race to describe people? I mean, you have mixed ethnicity. Do you feel like you're part of any certain race, if that word should even be used anymore?
I don't feel like I'm part of any group.
Perfect word.
I think that, you know, it's up to who you are as a person. If you want to be put into a group, that's your prerogative, but you shouldn't have to be if you don't want to. And
What does the term race mean to you? You've probably heard it in school, I'm sure.
like different groups of people
Based on?
based off of skin color.
Yeah. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? If they put somebody in a group and say, you're black, you're white.
I don't think that's a good thing.
Before I go to the next question, I want to ask you guys
Let
something.
me
Yeah,
take some.
sorry.
I'm gonna do two sidebars. First sidebar is race. If you're gonna say that a race is depending on how fast a person goes in order to win, that means that you're telling me that a certain race is better than another race. That's why you're saying, oh, what race are you? Because we're the better dominant one. Because that's what
Right.
you define the race by, how fast somebody is to win. Another thing I'm gonna say is, just like she said, it's up to you if you're in a special group. If we're all truckers, we're gonna be out there driving around to support that young man who got that much time because his brakes weren't working. If we're all football players, we're all gonna say, you know what? We're gonna take that knee because we don't appreciate what they're doing with the national anthem. It just goes by what group that you are settled in. Now, there's some people that be like, listen, I play for the NFL, I'm not gonna take that knee. Doesn't matter about my skin color or not. You see what I'm saying? Just like she said, it's everything is coming down to choice now. Now that everybody's saying, oh, I'm awake, I have a new mind state, I'm growing and things like that, everything is up to you now. But hold on. Are they really making up to you? Because like I said, it starts with the applications. Set everyone free. If you're going to say that we could do it, then set everybody free. It starts with the applications.
Well,
Right out the gate. Out the gate. When you sign her birth certificate, that's what you got to put down there. Why does it matter if you don't have to say that my child is a girl or a boy now on the birth certificate? Why are you still worried about their race, G?
Well, see,
Let
I don't believe in
everybody
the
have
term
a
race.
choice.
Like you said earlier, we all talked about earlier. I don't believe in the term race. I think
Absolutely.
it's a waste of even words.
Listen, I hate to interrupt, but we have another guest